Trump was delivering a speech in Rocky Mount, North Carolina, and still had the Marge on his mind and delivered a very confusing statement about his beef with Marjorie Taylor Greene that I'll play for you. And honestly, I was curious how the crowd was going to react to this. I don't think they loved it. I don't think a lot of them exactly understand why they're supposed to hate Marjorie yet. Now, to be clear, Marjorie is insane, except she was calling out Trump for not releasing or continuing to cover up the Epstein files. That's what really set him off. So on that front, in this clash, she's the good guy. But in general, I'm not trying to encourage support for Marjorie Greene. But I do understand that followers of Trump are going to go, I missed why even she's now our enemy. And Trump tries to call her liberal, which is just such an insult to the term, you know? Like, don't put us in the same box. Unless it's, we think there should be transparency on a pedophile's trafficking ring. Yeah, okay, we're in the same box on that, but that should be everybody. Apparently it's not. And here's what he said at the rally. Take note of the crowd's response.
And then you have...
While we go through this segment, I do apologize, but please do click the subscribe button if you appreciate the show right below the video. If it currently says... What does it say before you? It just says subscribe, I think. And you click it, and then it goes... You did it. Or something. And then your hair gets better, and you look better, and you're happier, is sort of the effects of clicking that subscribe button.
Fact check, true.
Yes.
And then you have... Marjorie Trader Brown, I call her, because green turns to brown under stress. So I call her Trader Brown.
3 claps.
Which I don't like doing because 2 words is too much. 2 out of 3. We're changing to Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'm going Marjorie Trader Brown, so I have to trade. And a lot of people don't understand 2 words is too much to change. I actually like Marjorie Taylor Brown better, but everyone says Marjorie Trader Greene is good, but they're all good. But what the hell happened to her? She must have been a stone cold liberal. She's on CNN now all the time. Can you believe it? And it was only because I couldn't call her back. You know, I have 218, 19 it changes, but we have 200 and some odd congressmen and women. I have 53 senators. I have 212 countries. I've got a family. It's nice to talk to my family too. You can't call a president every single day, and then when the president doesn't call you back, she goes around saying, he doesn't call me back. He doesn't. I said, Marjorie, I can't call you back. I got 2. I think, Marjorie, I just can't call you back. I'm sorry. And I wouldn't call her back. And she goes onto a rant. He won't call me back anymore. Sorry about that. You know, you can only...
This kid behind him is so utterly and completely bored and is not vibing with this. Watch this for a second. Yeah, zoom in.
Go so far. Yeah, once a month. Once every week or 2 weeks. But you can't, you know, highly neurotic. Her, not me, but I'm neurotic too. I think I'm probably very neurotic too. I always say controlled neuroses is good. Being neurotic, no good. But if it's controlled, that's okay. It gives you some energy. But what the hell happened to Marjorie Trader Greene? It's unbelievable, but...
Look at the sign that's being held behind him. This is just the epitome of him. You have this crowd behind him zoning out and him going, Marjorie Taylor Brown, but 2 words, if you do 2, people won't know what it is. And Trader Brown, brown turns to brown, green turns to brown when it's whenever it's dressed in grass. I know a lot about grass. Grass has a life, like people have a life. And Marjorie doesn't have a life. Well, technically she's alive, but she's a worthless person and has a black heart. And I haven't said this for a while because she supported me, but what's the deal with Marjorie Taylor Greene? We're doing so much CrossFit. Why does it look like she could beat up her boyfriend? What happened? And they're named Marjorie Trader Brown. But I'm Marjorie Trader Greene. But I'm neurotic. I'm very neurotic. I have a lot of neuroses, but it's controlled neuroses. But what the hell happened to Marjorie? And meanwhile, the crowd is holding a sign that says "bigger paychecks." That's it. It's like a visible representation of his relationship with his followers. It's like, can we have bigger paychecks? He's like, Marjorie's such a loser.
But she dropped out because I wasn't going to endorse her, and the person I would have endorsed was going to kill her in the polls. So she dropped out. And then they talk about how brave she is. No, brave would be to stay.
Yeah. So that was very confusing, but he's
What
very
the hell was that?
irritated by Marjorie Taylor Greene saying different things. Now, here's what drives me crazy, okay? And I get it a little bit, but I also don't. Which is, all right, this is fair, she has an issue that she really knows she can't be loyal to him on. That's Epstein. Makes sense, okay? Then she calls him out on that. Then he goes nuclear. But what you see with so many of these Republicans that eventually turn against Trump, which I never thought would be Marjorie, but here we go, is that now all of a sudden they see all the things wrong with Trump. Not all of them, but a bunch of them, right? So like all of a sudden now she's going, why did he say something so horrific about Rob Reiner? Why is he trying to pass this thing on that issue? And all of a sudden, these Republicans who previously acted like everything Trump did made sense, every day are finding a new thing to criticize him on, which good, but I know you were seeing those things before. You didn't all of a sudden, because of Epstein, learn that so many of the other things he does are terrible. But then again, if you're sympathizing, you say, well, whenever you believe in somebody, you might not interpret it through the proper lens, and then once they make you not believe in them, like covering up the Epstein files, then it opens your mind to other possible areas of imperfection. But it's a little bit infuriating, actually, because I know if it weren't for Trump losing it on Marjorie, she would not be calling out the Rob Reiner statement. I'm glad she is, but I know that she won it before. Here's that.
The major fallout happened yesterday with his statements on the tragic murder of Rob Reiner and his wife. MAGA faithful reacted big time, and they called it out. It's all over social media. People, his supporters, including myself, we didn't appreciate hearing the president, who himself was shot, and after Charlie Kirk's horrific murder, we didn't appreciate, even if you don't agree with Rob Reiner politically, there was no reason for his statement to be the statement that he made.
Yeah, when he says, I mean, it was just in the immediate aftermath of us finding out about Rob Reiner, and obviously now his son has been taken into custody. You've said that his murder was not about politics or political enemies. The president called him bad for our country and said he was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned.
I thought that statement was absolutely, completely below the office of the President of the United States, classless, and it was just wrong.
True. Okay, true. Just let me remind you, just in today's show, we have going on within the right wing. We have Nicki Minaj on stage with Erica Kirk, whose husband was just murdered. Nicki Minaj is saying, on accident, the assassin J.D. Vance, and then shutting down and seeming confused. And then telling boys they can be boys. Boys, you can like blue. Yeah. Like a little hype music, I would say. American flag, sunglasses. And meanwhile, you have Erica Kirk having to respond to claims about Candace Owens, saying maybe she was in on or is covering up, or her organization's covering up, the murder of Charlie Kirk. Then you have Hunter Biden hanging out with Sean Ryan. And then you have Marjorie Greene talking about the dignity of the office of the presidency. Maybe the craziest one. Marjorie Greene is telling Trump, maybe you should treat your office a little bit more importantly. I don't have to play the clip, but you know Marjorie has not ever seen any office as being an impediment to be very undignified. So it's just, I don't know how the timeline we're in could get any more insane. But I'm sure it will figure out a way to do so. You also had Marjorie saying, but again, it's good what she's saying. Whoa. I just am always confused why it takes so long for people. But love, support, open arms, all the terms. I'm not saying I'm exhibiting any of that or that I want to. I'm just saying words that sound nice as I'm upset. Then you have her saying the dam is breaking and more Republicans are going to turn against Trump.
But Caitlin, I'd like to point something out. Just last week, and I think the dam is breaking. Many Republicans may not have called him out, but last week 13 Republicans voted with Democrats to overturn one of President Trump's executive orders, which enabled him to fire federal workers. We also saw Indiana Republicans vote against redistricting. He didn't call any of them traitors and call for primaries against them. But I would like to say that that is a sign where you're seeing Republicans, they're entering the campaign phase for 2026, which is a large signal that lame duck season has begun and that Republicans will go in all in for themselves in order to save their own reelections.
She's calling him a lame duck, that his power is evaporating. People understand he's not going to be running next time, despite him acting like it sometimes, and that maybe it's going to be better for their reelection to distance themselves from him. You have Batya here. So even Marjorie's not on the Trump train anymore, but Batya is still, okay, is the conductor. I guess Trump would be the conductor, but you get the point. Is loving, and there's just so many train things that I feel like will sound like I'm saying something that if I say like she's managing the caboose, it sounds weird. It sounds kind of like I mean something else. Not what I mean. I just mean she's somewhere prominently. What else is in a train? What are all the cars in between? You got the front and the caboose. And then the train cars. This is too much about trains. But she did a segment. I don't know why News Nation, who's saying we're more in the middle, like that's their whole branding. We're more in the middle, not like these biased mainstream outlets. And now News Nation is having Batya host a show where she acts like a news anchor. And watch what she does on her show. Before, let's just quickly look at this. I don't know what. She is the main rod from that diagram. Thank you, Jaden. Okay. I'm trying to think. Because she's a tool, you know? Like maybe there's another little way to do it. Like, but here's her summing up Trump's first year. Shut up.
The president gave a speech to the nation on Wednesday. He talked about all of his accomplishments this year, closing the border, bringing down the cost of drugs, and creating jobs. To me, the common theme of it all is...
We keep losing jobs. What do you mean creating jobs? Listen to what news anchor Batya thinks the term to describe Trump's pregnancy is. Presidency.
Common theme of it all is dignity.
Wait. Pregnancy. Melania. I peed on a stick and it told me I'm pregnant. And we're not gonna have one of these non-binary babies. Wow. Oh wait, no, I'm not pregnant. I just had too many Filet-O-Fish.
Dignity restored to the forgotten men and women of the heartland. That's what Trump's entire year has been about, from the economic policy to the immigration policy to the foreign policy. How does deporting day laborers and landscapers bring dignity to the working class? Aren't they just doing jobs Americans won't do? Well, no. Contrary to the myth promulgated by the left, there isn't a single industry in America that's dominated by illegals. Not one has more than a 30% share of illegal labor. Migrants aren't doing jobs Americans won't do. They're doing jobs Americans do and get paid much less for because their employers have a much cheaper choice if their American employees say no.
Question: if these deportations are so good economically, why have we now had multiple months where we lose jobs after an entire presidency? What is it? 48 consecutive months of job growth under Biden, and then we saw months where we... Why is that happening if this is such an effective way to help our economy? Also, I love how it's like, no, they don't. 30% of an entire industry. That's a lot. That's a lot. And also, I think, there's some truth to, this is a good time to mention this. There's some truth to, there are certain jobs that we need filled and they aren't getting filled. And sometimes, of course, we should have only lawful immigration, but that there's an economic benefit to people who want the opportunity to move to the United States and then also happen to be willing to do some of those jobs that aren't being filled. But be mindful of how you express that point, because I could actually show this to you now, maybe if I could find the clip. I saw even Jasmine Crockett was getting into some hot water because of how she had previously expressed that point. Don't say it certain ways, because there's this crazy trend where people are trying to make a pro-immigrant argument and they just start sounding really, really racist, and they're like, well, then who's gonna clean my toilet? It's like, chill.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us on Capitol Tonight. I'm James Barragan. As her Senate campaign heats up, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is dealing with the resurfacing of controversial comments she's made about Hispanics and immigrants. In April, Crockett was at a church in Connecticut talking about immigration and said the average American doesn't want to work on farms, and compared it to, quote, cotton picking during slavery.
We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation. I know that's.
This comment is resurfacing as new polling shows Crockett is leading in Democratic polls, especially among black voters, but trailing among Latinos. That's according to polling by Texas Southern University. Texas State Representative.
Yeah, so with Love, I think she's also probably walked that back. An argument, because I think the clip started with her saying, also people don't seem to understand what they don't understand immigrants, and then went on to make that point. And it's like, I think we can all agree, potentially, that there's a better way to argue for why lawful immigration is beneficial, even lawful immigration of lower income people. Because that's the other thing that MAGA will say is like, no, we should only have wealthy people who can buy a Trump gold card or whatever the program is, $1 million immigration thing. And all those arguments are very powerful, and humanitarian defenses of different policies and economic ones. That's a really strong front. And when you rip out a bunch of people who are not just doing jobs, but also spending the money they got from those jobs in communities and supporting businesses, and tons of innovative businesses and ideas have been created by immigrants, and a bunch of the biggest companies in our country were founded by immigrants, and all of those different points should be expressed without saying, essentially, they should be picking the cotton. Eek! With love, but eek, right? And I do hear a lot of people say something like that. It's just, aw, because they're trying to say, well, who do you think who do you think at Mar-a-Lago was doing this? And it's like, it hurts a little bit. That's not, because there's, like everything, any group, such a wide array of things that people do. And we can't miss the benefits of lawful immigration, like I just referenced, to huge wealth generating businesses and job creation that has come at the hands of immigrants, who are very likely to start businesses and do amazing things and bring new ideas. And also lower income immigrants filling jobs that sometimes have just been left vacant, while we should also be investing properly and creating well-paying jobs so that we can be awesome, right? That's kind of my point. Let's do awesome things. Who's gonna clean your toilet? The reason I'm laughing is because people have said that on accident, stuff like that, and you're like, what? And then I've been in private and people like have the sweetest tone of voice and it just is so vulgar. And it's not true. It's not true. And it is true that sometimes immigration is really important for filling certain jobs that are necessary economically, but people aren't filling. The current population aren't filling. You don't have to do I'm just going to keep going on this. You don't have to do there's something about when you were born here that makes you not want to do certain things. Okay. I actually did want to bring that up because I've heard a lot of people saying that. And I think that only makes MAGA think their argument is better, which is really, that's the best you got. There's so much more than that I've outlined here and elsewhere. And so that's why I circle back. And there's a little bit of a giggle point. All right, there we go. Let's just wrap it up there before we get into any more trouble.